The nun. This happened when I was around 1st to 3rd grade, which is approximately around 10 to 12 years ago, but this specific memory has permanently scarred me until now and is probably the reason why I'm not a very religious person. This is my first Reddit post, so I apologize for any formatting errors and whatnot. English isn't my first language as well. TLDR at the end. Anyways, here it goes. In the Philippines, majority of our schools are Catholic. Some private schools require students to go to church every first Friday of the month. The school I went to back in elementary was one of those. Basically, every first Friday of the month the students will gather in their respective classrooms first before all of us will be led to the church. The church we went to was connected to our school. Each grade and section had their own areas in the church, so our advisors teachers will be able to monitor us. The pews my classmates and I sat on were around 10 rows away from the altar, so it was pretty close to the front. The nuns and other church staff usually sat at the 1st to 3rd rows. I'm not sure if churches in other countries do this, but at the end of the ceremony people clap in celebration after hearing Mass. I was sitting next to my close friend and we decided to pull something funny. We were around 8 at the time, so our decision-making skills weren't really the best. While the priest was saying the final blessings before ending the Mass, my friend and I decided to clap. It was only one clap, but it was a loud one. The sound echoed in the church loud enough to catch the nuns' attention. Finally, the Mass ended and the students were led back to the classrooms. Except our row. Enter the nun. She was old, maybe aged around 60 to 70, wearing a black habit or the typical nun's clothing, not sure if that's the correct term, and very wrinkly. She marched towards our area, fuming, and started demanding who made the clap noise. I ended up admitting it was me, but my friend didn't, so I was the only one who got in trouble. The nun told my advisor to let me stay in the church. My teacher obliged, gathered the rest of the students and left me alone. At this point I was bawling. The nun went somewhere else, I don't remember where, but she did leave me alone for a couple of minutes. I was a small 8-year-old child who was left alone in a big-ass church aside from the janitor who was cleaning the floors. Chills were literally running through my body. How would you feel if you were left alone with all these scary statues looking down at you? The atmosphere felt really creepy and eerie. The design and architecture of the church was Gothic, so it only fueled my fear further. When the janitor began to clean near my area, I was begging him to let me out of the church, but he refused, stating he was only following orders. Eventually the nun comes back for me and grabs my wrist harshly, tugging me out of the church into the sleeping quarters. Quick note, in private schools in the Philippines, nuns and priests were residents and had sleeping quarters within campus. While the nun literally dragged me to the sleeping quarters, I grabbed onto a ledge near the gate, still screaming and thrashing around. We were outside this time, and the nannies and other guardians of the other students were looking on, but none of them did something to intervene. I spot my nanny from afar and I could see her looking at me in concern, but she stayed in her spot. Once we were inside the nun's sleeping quarters, she throws me to the bed and begins yelling, telling me what I did was wrong, that I have sinned for clapping while the priest was talking. I don't even know, and threatened me that she'd keep me locked in her room for a week. She even locked her door for emphasis. I was beyond scared at this point. She looked at me in the eyes and asked me if I'd do it again, shaking her finger in front of my face. I shook my head furiously, and I remember her reiterating that she'd keep me in her home, but for only 3 days this time. I told her I'll never do it again, and after what seemed like hours she finally let me out. I was shaking when I got back to the classroom, but I don't really remember what else happened after this. We didn't really do anything to report the incident. I'm not sure if my nanny told my parents what happened, but if they did, they didn't come forward to file a complaint or something. To this day, entering that church still gives me goosebumps. My family gets really mad at me when I don't go to church every Sunday, but I don't really care. So, crazy nun, let's never meet again. TLDR, my classmate and I decided to fool around during mass and Crazy Nun got angry. Crazy Nun demanded my teacher to leave my 8-year-old self alone in a church before literally dragging me to her sleeping quarters and threatening to lock me up in her room for a week for misbehaving. This stalker light is a family member, which complicates things because they know my full name, perhaps my social security number, and they have a relationship with the same banks, insurance companies that I've been using. Bank A and Bank B are the only institutions, aside from probably government databases, that have this new phone number. Nowhere else. I deleted all my socials over a year ago and moved. Besides, this new number is only approximately 5 months old. I appear nowhere on the internet except a couple historical places which either only have my old info or have no info at all. I've used this number only to call small businesses, ordering pizza, talking to auto mechanics, etc. And with the banks. Importantly, I haven't even used it with friends or contacts that the stalker might even possibly know, in order to ask them. It's been completely secret, my one respite. It's actually an alt phone app, like Google Voice, but not linked to your real number, although it does require sign up with an email address. It's given me so much peace of mind to use this app rather than the iPhone phone text apps, which I've blocked all the numbers on, but they keep coming through with new ones. Anyway, Bank A has had this alt number since I got it. A week or two ago, I needed to verify it with Bank B too and get it added to my contact information on file. And then a couple days ago the texts and calls started coming in from this person. After months of freedom from it. It seems like a strange coincidence, especially since this person is still listed as a family member to Bank B in my profile section. I'm not even sure this is how they got it, though, because in this family members section, I can't see their info other than their name. So I assume they aren't able to see mine. My only thoughts are, maybe, when I updated my number with Bank B, they somehow sent a notification separately to everyone listed as my family. But I DK why that'd be a feature. My other guess, which doesn't have to do with this verification thing, is, could the stalker literally have just called Bank A or Bank B and asked for my information? Is that legal? Could they have gotten it that way, especially considering they could have convinced the clerk we are indeed family and they just need to get in contact with me? I'm not sure where else to turn. I mainly just don't want this to happen again. But I'm not sure where I slipped up. I'm not sure where. Because I've been so careful with this number, do you have any ideas of stuff I could think of, any other leads, and other places I might have left it that I've forgotten? It hasn't been used with work, though I have used it for a couple Craigslist deals. But I'm at a loss. A complete loss. Edit: I wanna add that this is not a tech-savvy person. EDIT2. There are some apps that have this number, such as Uber and Your Mechanic. But that seems like an unlikely way to get it.